Cash and the ticket is yours. Cash and the ticket is yours. Yo. Cash and the ticket is yours. Cash and the ticket is yours. Cash and the ticket is yours. Yo. Cash and the ticket is yours. Yours. Got lots of love. Got lots of love. Lots of love. Love. Got 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 lots of love. Love.
Welcome back. It's a brand new season of CGL.
This is just an absolute treat. These players are so damn good.
The talent on these teams is undeniable. Everybody on every team right now is making plays.
It's going to be an exciting start to the season, and it'll just get better from here on out.
We're about to step to a whole new era of Overwatch esports. So much exciting action is happening here on CGL that you do not want to miss. Look who's starting it all off. It's Raven.
No one necessarily figure out what is the right way to go just yet.
What a nice roll through from Payne. He's just gonna solidify everything from Mythos.
Does come back, and Arsario gets the mech, but I don't need a mech. I'll kill 4 anyway.
This is just a highlight reel for Arsario right now.
They're making a statement in the EU Masters here.
This patch is still incredibly fresh. There's so much to learn, so much to change about the way we play the game.
SKC, but
The shatter is colossal.
Let's get it going.
Trades keep coming through. Lore, is he going to be able to find these shots true?
Idu on the overclock with 2. Here comes the Nanoblade, immediately comes back, like fine skills, slicing and dicing their way through 2, 3, so back and forth.
Welcome back, everybody, to another wonderful day to cover some more CGL Season 16 action, working our way over into week number 6. 2 weeks post mid-season, 2 weeks prior to the playoff bracket. We have 2 impeccable teams that are so even in the standings, at least so far. We have Mánagarmr coming up on deck, up against Budget Approved. Let's talk about where we're going to go, what we might see here, and also some changes that have been made since the patch dropped.
Yeah, very excited to come back to the EU division. Got a great matchup for you guys. And, you know, what has been pretty meta for a while, at least from the few games I've casted post patch, hasn't been so meta. The Zarya Reaper, I have seen it a tiny bit, but it's not nearly as potent as it used to be because of all those nerfs that they made to the Reaper.
Oh, 100%. Reaper was becoming a problem. He was becoming a little bit too good in the grand scheme of things. So yeah, he got some adjustments. Same thing with some of our backliners, some of our DPS lines as well. You're seeing a lot more Sojourn get back into the fray here. Of course, she didn't really go too far away, of course, but she's been played a lot more. Tracer, on the same breath, has also been super potent, and not even just in her usual match, but also I feel like in most maps, she's really come back as a standard flex DPS. Same thing with Genji. I've been seeing a lot of Genji as of late, so can't wait to see exactly where we go. But first and foremost, we have this right now and some more action happening later. Let's talk about not just our 3 o'clock game happening at the moment, but also later today, Wawa Gaming up against the Diamond Eagles at 8 o'clock Eastern. So please come back, tune in, see how that goes. But otherwise, let's talk about our highlights of the EU GM bracket right here, right now.
Again, as we talked about, we are in a very high stakes area of the season. We're 2 weeks post mid-season, 2 weeks prior to the regular season playoffs. These last few matches are going to matter not only for who makes playoffs, you know, depending on the region, but the seedings are going to matter a whole heck of a lot. And because we are in week number 6, we do know what our first map is going to be, which is a predetermined map for each week. And this week it is the chilling environment of Nepal.
It sure is. 3 sub-maps that all offer different types of ways, different types of compositions to utilize, especially on things like Village versus the Temple versus Sanctum. They all have their own benefits. They all have their own compositions. And again, things are still ever changing. The Zarya Reaper has kind of gone up and then back down. I've seen Ramantra come back a lot as well. Sigma, a staple, I feel like a lot of times on Nepal in some way, shape, or form. So again, so much flexibility that both these teams can in fact utilize, right? And of course, is as always a first to 3. So not only do you have the first map kind of as a somewhat warm-up, somewhat as a momentum builder, but you have up to 5, maybe even a 6th one, the mysterious CGL 6 map to work with for adapting purposes. With that being said, though, Nepal, as you mentioned, is our first map, and then subsequently every other map will be chosen by the loser. Map and mode is available to whomever falls down in Nepal.
I do feel like for Mánagarmr, you know, just given that they have not gotten a win yet on the season, being able to at least get one, because they'll make playoffs no matter what. It's a 4-team division, but being able to get some positive momentum going into playoffs is going to be a huge deal, and trying to you know, not, you know, get too tilted and then, you know, just go winless the whole season would just be very unfortunate.
Yeah, it's hard, you know. It's a small bracket for the GM tier, only 4 teams, so a lot of repeats can in fact happen, especially with only 8 weeks to work with. So with this being said, hopefully again the mental has to be up there. You gotta finish out the season either way, and with DYS Budget Approved coming up on the ban phase first, again opens up so many possibilities, so many target bans if they want to, or just general. I don't want to pick this character. This character's a little too good right now. Options that can in fact be used here, right? So with each of these choices, tank, DPS, or support, I'm leaning, I think, more to like a damage ban. I feel like a ban onto maybe the Sojourn, maybe the Freya might be some safer options, especially, you know, wanting to kind of feel out the opposition a little bit. But timer coming down to the wire, and we're gonna see our ban in just a couple of seconds. Gonna be actually on the tank side of things. D.Va taken out of the engagement, taken out of the fight completely here.
Which to me, it feels like that is a protect ban. Not that D.Va is a bad hero by any means, but on a map like Nepal, it feels like, are we really gonna see D.Va? Probably not. So I'm not exactly sure who they're looking to. DYS budget logo over the D.Va.
I try to be so serious whenever I talk about budget approved, but I can't with the cheek.
Well, the logos just look, seeing that logo like placed perfectly on like the D.Va thing in there. It's just, I literally for a second I looked up like, wait, who the hell is that character?
Wait, when did they introduce a duck? Oh, you're so right. Okay, Mánagarmr now picking on their own ban. I mean, with their own really funny logo as well, the three wolves. Oh, I love it. But either way, they, like you mentioned, a D.Va ban here feels like a protection ban. They want to kind of make sure they have Orisa open. Maybe they want to have Ramatra open as well. They want to make sure they protect those options. Otherwise, DPS side things, a Symmetra, I feel like just kind of a standard ban. You want to mitigate any sort of really fast approach to the spawn area. You want to, you know, ideally, you don't really want her to set up either. So these completely, at least to me, make sense.
I mean, this is EU, so they're banning their EU Symmetra slop. No, I'm just kidding. It's not slop. I mean, I joke. But they do love their Symmetra in EU, so it's not a surprise that there could be a chance that DYS is very good at a comp like that. So taking that off the menu, especially like on Nepal, Sim actually goes pretty hard. Like you can bunker down on Village easily and on Sanctuary. And it's still not even bad for Sanctum either.
No, like literally, I think it's just a good ban, a good healthy ban to do, just, you know, to mitigate that kind of hunker down play style. Either way, bans have been solidified. Let's talk about our starting 5 lineups for not just one, but also both teams. Mánagarmr coming up on deck first. Ozzy and Chodoro coming up on that DPS side. We have Imperator in the tank row, and then Octo and MCG as well on that back line. This is the roster of the day. Cannot wait to see exactly how they're going to fare up against the 5 coming in from DYS budget approved. And we're going to talk about them really quickly as well. Real quick, here's the starting 5 lineups. Bronen, we have Witty Wee, Rena, Lampy, and Ravenge as well. Can't wait to see exactly what we bring to the table. This is a rematch as well. 3-0 did budget prove find themselves against Mánagarmr, so they're looking in this matchup very confident.
Yeah, so a lot of these names for DYS are going to be very familiar. Witty Weeb, Lampy, Ravenge. They have been around on this roster for a very long time. They are a staple in CGL. So I can't wait to see, you know, where they've come into this season, because this is my first time seeing them this season. What they're rocking out and the kind of comps that we're going to see out of them. I can't wait, because we're going to be getting you guys into Nepal very shortly.
Oh, we sure are. Again, very excited to see exactly what we see coming up from the budget pool. I remember seeing Ronan specifically really pop off last time, again, on that Tracer, if, of course, we see him on the character in general. But otherwise, we're loading into the map here now, seeing... Oh, it's animated, Ray. It's an animated GIF. I can't do it. It's an animated Chica GIF from budget approved. I love it. Either way, seeing the Winston, seeing the Czar, at least for now, in the in-between period in the spawn rooms, will Mánagarmr come out on the Czar Reaper? Well, no, we have Ozzy actually on Sojourn, mirroring Witty Weeb so far.
The Zarya, as I mentioned, Zarya herself did not get nerfed, but what made her so powerful was the combination with the Reaper, but she's still good on her own, so it's not surprised to see Mánagarmr still rocking out on that. DYS budget approved though. Going with a ball composition, which especially on a map like this sanctuary map here, or shrine, I mean, it's actually very good. A lot of good places to roll out.
Oh yeah, and I love the idea of trying to use displacement against this somewhat tight-knit group of Mánagarmr, right? So that being said, you can see that the power driver come through onto the backline, but Ronin unfortunately gets called out early on by the Zarya, trading it off for MCG, unfortunately, in that backline. So you're only relying on those Lucio heals, which, as you know, not exactly the most healing per second in the world, as Budget Proof are going to capitalize on that and find Ozzy in the fray. Mind you, Mánagarmr do find the point first, and all they gotta do is clean up the opposition. Octo goes down first, then Chodoro trying to back out and still get a little bit of damage pressure onto Ronin, who's now back and finds a melee kill thereafter.
Yeah, this is exactly what you were talking about. Ronin going crazy on the Tracer, already showing out. So with this Wrecking Ball composition, it relies pretty heavily on Reno and Ronin, you know, syncing up pretty hard on the slams and the Tracer follow-up damage. So, you know, given that DYS has such a solid roster been together for so long, these compositions can be played to a high level just because they're so used to each other and have so much synergy. With the Zarya comp, though, they're gonna have to be looking to walk onto Witty Weave, and like he's like the least mobile.
Ooh, nice scout onto Reno, though. Still losing on one player, that being the Kiriko. Recall force from Ronin early on, meaning Chodoro is definitely going to walk on that final elimination, find the trade-off. And Perinator is walking in with about 85 charge, which is a big amount of damage output for this Zarya. I love this cast off from Ozzy as well. That is going to be putting pressure onto this ball, as Reno does use the minefield. Actually finds not one, but two eliminations off of it. And thankfully, Ozzy once again popping off on the Cassidy. But with the two-piece coming from Ravage and from Ronin, it's a very short-lived victory for Mánagarmr, at least for now.
Yeah, as they got to get those passive heals because Ronin already used that recall. Pulse Bomb in the pocket for Chodoro. Question is, can these Tracers make the big play? Graviton Surge is coming back.
Oh, and you hate to see it, Ray. A lamp right on the lamp. A pulse right onto Lampy. The Suzu mitigates the reversal one coming through from the side of Budget Proof. So therefore, Mánagarmr at least stay alive a little bit longer, but eventually MCG will go down without the rush to boot. Will we use the Deadeye? Will we use Graviton Surge just to supplement this fight? Possibly. The Sound Barrier does come in first, however, and the High Noon subsequently also makes all of this space work for Mánagarmr, actually able to hold up 70% of the objective and counting. Now finally seeing the overclock from the high ground, and the beautiful Power Driver pop-up gives Witty Weave a three-piece almost for free, a fourth onto Octo, and that is the end of the fight here for Mánagarmr. Yes, let me see that replay.
Yeah, three-piece and a biscuit to boot for Witty Weave. They said, I'll take that drink to go, as now they're going to be setting up for this next fight. Still have this Graviton Surge online for Imperator. You also have the ability to use this Kitsune Rush to try and help you push on a point, maybe to try and get you past the ball as quick as possible. Like as I mentioned, getting on top of Lampy and Witty Weaver, who you have to be targeting.
Ooh, big grabs on Surge, and it finds two imperative targets. The Tidal Blast also comes through from Lampy, but is it a tad bit too late? Ooh, the stun does come through onto Ozzy, and the minefields are on the field here, so it comes down to a matter of can Mánagarmr actually stay alive and also flip the points? Looks like not. Ronin, once again, kind of unaccounted for, and you're trying to see Imperator make sure to not walk into these minefields, as we are now nearing down 83%, lapping Mánagarmr's own percentage here. Budget Proof now walking towards their spawn area.
Yeah, and they're going to have a staggered final fight touch here. They're going to have some stragglers coming in. The pulse gets Ozzy.
Oh, that's unfortunate. No roll, no problem. Ronin capitalized on that quickly enough. Forces the recall, but forces no touch to be seen from Mánagarmr. What a stance. What a reversal from Budget Approved. 81 to 100% is nothing to scoff at, though.
I was gonna say, given the fact that this is 4-1 versus 0-5, like that was an extremely close first round. Like, I feel like if you're Mánagarmr, you're not, you know, it's not like you got rolled and you're just like, man, what do we even do? The Zarya had its moments. I think they just need to continue to be extremely decisive. I think Witty Weave was doing a good job at trying to stick to that high ground, so it's not so easy for them to walk upon them. So if that's going to be the case where Witty Weeb is playing their distance and, you know, going to areas where it's not so easy for you to get to them on Zarya, then you have to get it Lampy. Because not only is Lampy, you know, not super mobile, all you have is like the water movement. But once that's gone, they can't get away very easily, and you lose a lot of healing if you go for them.
Ooh, a little bit of change in rotation here, actually coming in from Mánagarmr and Budget Approved. One side wants to walk onto the bridge area or the back area of the objective. The other side kind of more split, leaving Octo a little bit by themselves to be, again, really focused down on by Ronin. Todoro gets Witty Weeb in the engagement, so it's a 2-for-1 trade-off, but at some point, the forces are just not there for Mánagarmr to continue on this fight. They must go down quickly enough. MCG, the only left standing, and ideally, yeah, we're back.
Excuse me, sorry. As the points now just going to get capped, so, you know, still, you know, not a lot of percentage gained for Budget Approved. If you're playing this Winston composition again, Chodoro, Imperator got to be on the same page. And again, I think because you have more mobility with the Winston, now you can look to target Witty Weeb a little bit easier. It only has that slide to get away.
I mean, almost same thing with Aussie, right? One side has a slide, one side has a roll, and both can be so susceptible to these subsequent dives. Recall force early, and look at this. We have Mánagarmr actually rotating to the objective proper, but Imperator, unfortunately, no source of PO, no source of bubble, no source of self, you know, sustain. The pulse bomb goes on the floor, and Aussie gets rail shot before eventually walking right into it. Lampy takes care of the other support in the engagement. Thankfully, Mánagarmr did fit the point, so they did get a little bit of a stall either way, but it's only very short-lived.
I was going to say, all things considered, that's fine for Budget Approved, but at the same time, the touch could have been there, so it seems like there was slight poor communication there where they could have won that fight and still kept that point alive. Totoro got the pulse bomb. We saw Bronin would have gotten that kill if, you know, it wouldn't have been sniped from the rail shot of Witty Weeb.
The world's smallest pile driver I've ever seen. Still getting a full jump of everybody. 1 and 2 supports are down for the count. Taking off Aussie's head is Lampy once again. Oh no, I think it was. I didn't even notice.
I didn't see any overshields or overhealth, I mean.
Where's my button? Where's my CGL Ajax button, producer? Primal comes in though onto Witty Weeb. But Ray, I think because of that Ajax, I'm not sure this fight is very sustainable for Mánagarmr.
We'll see if this High Noon. The High Noon does get thrown in, so you got that going for you. Oh man, they would have gotten Ravaged, who got so low.
It's rough. It's getting a little bit rough. The fight's starting to get overextended into one after another. The health pack's behind you. The health pack's behind you. And here comes Reno in the engagement, so low, and escapes with just under 200 HP to boot. MCG needs to re-engage in the Kitsune Rush. We get rid of Ronin in the meantime. We heal up our other support, but here's the reversal Kitsune Rush, and they are 1v1ing one another. Chodoro goes up against the opposition. The overclock also gets completely used in the last tail end of this fight. And Ray, the 99% is very much a loud statement from Budget Approved, meaning the first time was not a fluke. We can bring it all the way over with little to no resistance.
Agreed. That second map did not, you know, feel as close as that first map, which is strange given, you know, the Zarya did fine on Tried, so I thought going to Village that it would be, you know, just as good, but decided to go to the Winston. I do think they wanted the ability to be able to go after Witty Weeb, like they attempted to do so there, but it felt like they didn't have the follow-up. Like the Winston would go up there, but there was no tracer to help take down Witty Weeb, and then Witty Weeb would be able to easily slide away or finish off kills because their team was doing a great job on that specific map. When Winston did go for dives, when Imperator was trying to go after Witty Weeb, they were doing good jobs of following up and countering basically the counter dive was strong.
Oh, 100%. I mean, Budget Approved really just showcased how well they can play this dive, right? I really do wish we did see, the Zarya come to fruition onto Village. I do think Zar can at least have that bunker down playstyle, at least on Village itself, and really just play to have bubbles and get high charge and then kind of walk on anyone trying to walk onto the objective. So even though there was some shining moments with the Winston, Cassidy, Tracer composition, again, I think that maybe Zara would have been a little bit more of a better pick there, maybe a better comfort pick for Mánagarmr, but that's neither here nor there. They still brought it relatively even in the first round. Second round, a little bit rough. I think they kind of had a problem with the ball displacement, composition, and honestly, it kind of did come down to the Soj versus the Cassidy. And more often than not, Witty was getting so much value with those rail shots, with those overclocks whenever possible.
Yeah, the one thing you do got going for you, if you are Mánagarmr, which that score is wrong, producers, please fix that. The one thing you got going for you is from here on out. Well, at least not from here on out, but for the next map, you have the map choice, and you'll get first ban most likely. Obviously they can pick, whether they want first, second ban. But because of that, and how close that first sub map was, I feel like, if you bring yourself to a situation where you can run the comps that you like, or a map that feels conducive to running the comp you feel best at, I think you have a chance to make something happen here and, maybe even take a map off.
I think that is possible. Again, the last series these guys had one other was a 3-0 in favor budget approved, and it's already kind of looking that way, but again, only map one, things can always change, and having the choice of any map or mode is so powerful. So good for the loser of the match, right? So with that being said, we can go anywhere. I feel like if they want to maybe play a brawl and mitigate a dive a little bit more, go to something as simple as just go to a brawl map, maybe even a flashpoint in that sense. I know that ball does pretty well on Saravasa. I feel like New Junk City might actually kind of hinder it a tiny bit, especially Arena, especially the Junkyard, and the Ducks. I think those can absolutely work as well if you want to keep playing the Zarya composition that, again, worked pretty well on first round of Nepal. We could also just make Kings Row, put it out there. That could also be an option just to run that Zarya either way. And looks like we do have our map likely solidified so far. We're going to go with Flashpoint, not quite New Junk City, but Saravasa is the name of the game here, Ray.
Which, again, it's kind of perplexing given what you kind of just laid out, that, Saravasa is the Flashpoint map where we do see teams run ball even in OWCS.
Yeah.
So it's like, you want to take a team who just kind of beat you at ball pretty heavily. You want to take them to a map where ball's probably even more conducive on that map. So it's a little like, did you really think this one through? I mean, curious to see if they're gonna have a strategy cooked up, because certain heroes can, like, for example, like the Orisa with the ability to use those javelins, if you can hit them pretty hard, can disrupt the ball. I mean, in that situation, if you're the ball, normally you just ignore it. But if you played like all together in like a death ball compensate, you got to come at all of us. Maybe the ball will struggle there.
Oh, for sure. Again, I'm also shocked that they went Saravasa, and I don't know if I would want to burn a ball ban this early, but also my worry is that some teams do a little too late. So it's kind of walking that fine line of when should we actually target this composition that gave us so much trouble earlier versus, okay, do we want to just kind of tough it out and use a ball ban later, if there even is a ball ban to be said or seen. But yeah, I think Saravasa, when I think of Saravasa, I think every map except for maybe Ruins is really good for ball. Palace is pretty open. Even Marketplace, the opener of Saravasa, is always really good for ball. Very good entry point. So this first fight for Mánagarmr needs to be important, needs to have value, and so is this ban, right? So they already banned out the Symmetra earlier on. Now they can kind of go wherever their heart pleases.
And it looks like it is. They said, Ronan, sorry, bud. Put the Tracer aside for this map. It ain't happening.
Put the Tracer in the bag. We were not dealing with Ronan's Tracer.
Well, see,
and I mentioned he's really good.
The thing, though, to VBot is really weird,
yeah.
because, like, I play for the Plat Division. Every time, like, our silly players want to do silly things, we will be like, no, just put it in the bag. Like, not put it away. We'll say whatever they're going to play. Like, we have a Genji player. We're like, no, just put the Genji in the bag. Get on Genji.
Put the Genji in the bag. Put the keyboard up. We're not dealing with that today.
I'm like, no, we are not playing Torbjorn. Put the Genji in the bag. Sorry.
Take the Genji out. Let's talk about it.
Who's just
Zarya.
obsessed with playing Echo. I'm like, dude, like Echo is not good right now. Stop trying to say you want to play Echo.
It's not working, buddy. It's just flying Zarya. Stop playing with me. But we do have our second ban, which was, in fact, my girl Zarya. So, might be forcing Imperator to actually go back over to the Winston or something like that. Something to, again, mirroring what we had seen previously on Nepal. Same 5 lineups, no swaps to be seen. But I'm kind of excited to see what Ronan and Ozzy, of course, are going to be playing, of course, as kind of the dedicated Tracer players. What will they go towards? Will it be a Genji? Will it be a Freya? Will it be like a Symmetra maybe, since she's unbanned? I'm excited.
Here we go, loading up into this map. I mean, as we get the initial comps from both of these teams, we are seeing the diva from Imperator currently, which, maybe there was a reason for that diva ban on the first map. Maybe this team, maybe EMC loves their diva. But for DYS, they are showing the Orisa right now, which is kind of more of a tank that I expect on a map like this. A lot of sustain for the Orisa, and they are going. Okay. I was wondering if they were going to stick the Sim, given it was banned map 1, but no, they will. They will go Bronin on the Sojourn this time, and Witty Weave goes to the Genji.
Interesting difference there. Witty Weave was the one that had so much value with the overclock, so I think Ronan has some shoes to fill, taking the Sojourner away from Witty Weave and having them on the Genji instead. But either way, Imperator on the Diva, I like it a lot. We'll be actually putting in a little bit of that mitigating pressure off of the backline by taking care of Ronan's projectiles and Reno's projectiles, of course. But Budget Proof are so good at kind of forcing a presence, already forcing not just Mánagarmr off the objective and finding the cap first, but they also track down Chodoro and sends him right back to the spawn area. Both DPS and, in fact, from Mánagarmr are no longer in the engagement, and suddenly we're outside in the fields and trying to find the back line. Octo goes down, but thankfully MCG teleports to safety.
Yeah, with that Curie, you get within reasonable distance of your team, you're able to escape that situation. But look at that, 77% already for Reno on that Terra Surge charge. If I'm EMC, I don't know if I'd be expecting a possible Terra Surge coming in this next fight. Like, who would think, like, 2 fights in, we're already about to have to deal with that.
Yeah, no, even if you look at the, stat-wise and do, like, the math that way, shout out to my main supporters to do all that work, I could never. I would not also peep that they had a Terra Surge already. I would not even be aware of that, and more so into this next fight. Chodoro is looking for this Genji, trying to find some sort of leg up for Mánagarmr, but unfortunately, again, losing Ozzy, losing MCG. There's a trade-off of Lampy, thankfully, but Wu Yang's relatively fast, so he'll be back faster than we know, and faster than we also know. Flashpoint is Flashpoint for a reason. That's the point already. Given a budget approved without using any ultimates, and also leaving Perinator in this unforsaken diva form.
Oh, and they get the late stagger as they're already basically rotated to the next point. That was just a disgusting stagger coming out from budget approved, and now they can hold this point with all 5 of their players and all the ults they've been able to accumulate. This is quite the opening gambit from budget approved.
It sure is, and they're working with so many big ultimates as well. They can easily hold this objective, forcing these, actually going to be seeing Ravage coming in with the Rush and the Terror Surge committal. The Deal Bomb comes in. Does the remake come through? It does not for Imperator, even though Budget Improved were able to solidify the engagement. They used 2 pretty big ultimates, and Mánagarmr should be able to come back with at least something in the first things first. So we're going to get off that Diva, and we're going to mirror this Orisa.
Yeah, 2-for-1 ult trades, you'll take that if you're Mánagarmr, especially like when you need to re-engage here. Like the Kitsune Rush on its own could be, especially if you want to, throw that in with the blade to give your Genji movement as well, while being able to engage with the blade. So I think those 2 ults should be able to buy you the win here, but you got to make it happen. You got to put your team in position to take advantage of these ults.
So they went through 1 rotation, they got sought out, tried going through the staircase, got sought out again. They go to the 3rd place, the main way left side here, opening up the Kitsune Rush, but it's actually not in the point proper. It's going to be around the entryway of the Ruins place, but as you mentioned, the Kiriko Rush coupled with the Dragon Blade will be the winner chicken dinner for Mánagarmr in this fight at the very least, stalling the 66% completion from budget approved and giving themselves 15 to boot and counting.
It was a 3-for-2 ult trade, though. You used both your supports and your blade in exchange for the tidal wave and the overclock. So now basically Witty Weave's going to have an entire free blade. So as you mentioned, I mean, they were going crazy with the overclock last time. Let's see what they're going to be able to pull off with this blade.
Should be pretty big. All they have to deal with it with is Ozzy's Deadeye, which again, one good deflect and you're dead, right? So in that sense, Budget Proof can walk in with relative confidence, and also building up to another Terror Surge, by the way, from Reno. Very fast charging ultimate, my goodness. Either way, Imperator kind of stuck in the corner, and now backs up a little bit here, and Budget Proof respecting the space. Maybe a little bit too much respect. We lose Ravage in the fight. Here's the high noon, and Witty Weave going so low, gets shut down by Imperator. So what a reversal from Mánagarmr, actually kind of spacing the Deadeye full force and losing it. Ow, the Terror Surge committal! Might be a little too much from Budget Approved as they lose the points.
Yeah, again, I was seeing this last night when I was casting Collegiate, but it's like these players who just get in their head like, if I can just make this play even though we're down 3 with my ultimate. No, just save it for the next fight. I think that was a huge mistake from DYS. I mean, you will have a Kitsune Rush, but because, you know, they just kind of dominate that second point, they've matched you in the Kitsune Rush charge now, so it's all for naught.
It really is. It's so unfortunate. Temple, I mean, starting things off with the momentum build-up with the Kitsune Rush, not just from MCG, but also from Ravage. This could be good, but the Terror Surge coming in from Imperator, that is a beautiful connection for the side of Mánagarmr. What a reversal, what a shutdown of Budget Proof, who I would say arguably were so walking into this match with so much momentum behind them.
I think I would have been so mad if I got hit by that javelin. Like that did not look like it was going to be a connect, and then it did. I would have been a little salty about that if I was a player. But that's okay. That's okay. Tidal Wave Blast online for Lampy, especially since they're going to be facing Chotoro's Blade, who actually went disgusting with it on the previous point. I think, you know, you're going to have to use it defensively here to, you know, help a target who's getting bladed.
I mean, I would almost couple Octo's Sound Barrier with the Dragon Blade and give Chorodoro just that win condition, especially because we don't even have a Kiriko, so there's the Sound Barrier coming in. Ozzy barely able to get the overhealth, but thankfully does connect onto the Cassidy, giving everyone a big leg up. But you know what? Just to make sure we stay alive and we win the fight, rip the blade, just get Lampy out of the way, and now we're at 70% completion of Temple.
I mean, it feels like, again, yeah, you get... You know, I feel like you could have won that fight without the blade, and you probably want that coming in this next fight. I mean, you're going to be facing quite the amount of ults coming online. The question is, do they realize the time crunch to end? Because they have to touch and touch quick. I don't think they can.
Oh, they have 1% wet left, and they used Tidal Blast to try to go for the touch, and it wasn't going to be enough, right? 2-1 so far. Match points of Servasa for Mánagarmr, looking very good here. They are losing little bodies, losing a couple of people as Budget Proof are walking on the neutral, but either way, I take these if I'm Mánagarmr.
Oh yeah, Mánagarmr's gonna be feeling very good. We talked about winless on the season so far. They've got themselves in pride position on Servasa to take a dub, and ever since they matched the Orisa duel here, they've actually been doing really well. So the adjustments they've been making have seemed to be working out pretty well. But, you know, can't count the chickens before they hatch. Got to make sure you bring this through.
Oh, oh my goodness, what a javelin toss onto Octo. More so, the distraction does come to fruition because guess what? There's no front line for Budget Approved, so the back line of Witty Weave and Ravage actually get completely walked on by Chotoro and company. Mánagarmr have pretty much taken the fight before it even really started.
I don't know if, you know, it's, you know, a sense of almost cockiness from Budget Approved, but it seems like their supports are just not... Either the tank and the DPS are just splitting off and getting away from the supports, or the supports are just playing too far back, because you cannot allow your supports to continuously get isolated, like, especially when you're playing Orisa, who's not a super mobile comp. You want everyone to be relatively close to each other.
Now they're really close. They are buddies right now, coming down the staircase, opening the Kitsune Rushes that are now intertwining. I see some skulls. There's the elimination from Ronin onto Imperator. The double Terror does get committed here. We gets a 3K pretty much with 2 dash kills, 1 regular kill onto the mirror match, and finally they find the flip.
Expensive fight for both sides, but DYS did end up using 3 of the ults there. They will have 2 to continue holding, but I think EMC, you know, if they use these 3 ults, like, for example, like, they got Blade for Approved. for budget approved. You got a beat that can really outlast that you can counter with your own blade high noon. You only have one tidal wave blast, so it's not going to be enough to outlast 2 ultimates.
Exactly, that's the problem, right, for budget approved. So this defense needs to be pretty much stalwart. And then there's a Cassie in the back line. No one's looking at him. Ozzy was, Ronan was playing the coastline, and no one looked at him. I saw him with my peripherals. I was like, no, we're not scouting for this Cassidy. No.
And that you could not have asked for better if you're DYS. Not only do you win that fight, but you didn't use a single ult, and they used the high noon. That fight was just exactly what the doctor ordered.
Now they're in the hot seat, right? We saw Butcher Proof on the hot seat for Temple, trying to go for a touch. Now we're at 97%. We walk in with a sound barrier first. Doesn't find MCG or Imperador, but this is open up the Dragon Blade from Todoro, and there it is. Not just one, but 2 from Winnie Weave as well. Trade for trades, bodies for bodies. But unfortunately, going down our forces for Mánagarmr means that they cannot stay in the fight any longer. And Budget Proof have brought this over to a round number 5 of Servasa.
Here we go, folks. 2-2. It all comes down to Palace. High noon is on the board for DYS. And they got, because, you know, those fights went so well for them, they're a little bit further ahead on this Terra Surge ult charge difference. But again, I like the high ground control that both teams are trying to fight for. Being able to control this is going to be essential for this point.
Ooh, I love the flank Genji so far, but Reno's territories have been very fruitful, and this is no less. Getting rid of the mirror match, now following up on the rest of the team. That fight lasted all of 5 seconds. 1 Terra Surge, boom, everyone dies. What a wonderful dime.
I felt like you blinked and that fight was over. Like, that's how fast DYS budget approved can, you know, go at a moment's notice like that. I do like Imperator coming in this next fight with this Terra Surge. They've been pretty good with it so far. And then you also have the ability for both teams to drop a Kitsune Rush, but for someone with the Terra Surge, being able to have that speed to get yourself in and you put in a position for it could be key.
Ooh, love this rush from the high ground though. Drops down, gives low ground and high ground some advantage. The high noon from the left does get seeked out and shut down by Imperador. Getting the spear onto Ronan was exactly what we needed. Imperador needs to stay alive though. Only no armor, by the way. Needs to use the Terror Surge just to stay alive. Any bodies in it? No, they all LOS away from it. Ozzy finds Ronan, however, Totoro follows up onto the Kiriko, and just like that, another one fight here for Mánagarmr, once again repeating that success from last time, flipping the point at 76% against Budget Approved.
Yeah, this is where things get rough. I feel like if you're Mánagarmr, you can probably hold for at least one fight with your High Noon and Blade. But the question is after that, especially if DYS just go into this fight wanting to force ults and saving theirs, that could be the game plan here. It's just going to be ult economy after this fight.
But I cannot lose our Kiriko, we can't lose our Orisa either. We lose our Cassidy very early in the engagement. We have to follow up onto the rest of the backline. Very separated. I feel like Mánagarmr kind of found themselves, unfortunately, really early on. Everyone went to the right side. You had Imperator still on the objective, stalling, and now we flip it at 80%.
To me, that was a problem of Mánagarmr playing way too defensive. They just allowed DYS to come in, take space. You can't let that happen. You had Blade and High Noon. Why are you allowing them just to walk forward like that?
Oh, we're walking forward to Blade. Now Chidori walks in, gets the touch here, 99%, slicing and dicing to heaven, to filth. And now layering the sound barrier on top of that. Oh, the advantage state is definitely there. Now looking at the Kiriko on the high ground, forces the teleport away. Tidal Blast also expended. High Noon from Ronan. And oh my goodness, Ozzy finds the kill onto Winnie Weave. Either way, trading the Lucio for the Genji. Numbers are going all over the place. Bodies flying on the dance floor, but it's getting Mánagarmr that find the win here some way, somehow, and they have a rush.
I think that's going to be the biggest issue, is Budget Approved has nothing coming online. Mánagarmr will have their rush and their Terra Surge. This should be game, set, match, but you never know. Budget Approved, that previous fight before that, just came in like gangbusters and won the fight with no ults.
You hear the rush get used first. 5% away from completion. Over time will be procced here with Reno walking onto the fountain, right? So that being said, like you said, no ultimate lines. Casino Rush has now been depleted here. Doing overtime, trying to get onto Ronan, who is so alone in this high ground, and the jumping has commenced. Now it's just Witty Weave trying to stay alive in this Genji 1v1. The Terror Surge also gets committed by Imperador. We're still getting unfavorable trades. Shoulder rolls out of the engagement. MCG not looking any worse for wear in some way without any ultimates. Budget approved has won the fight. They flip it and they clock it. A 3-2 on Saravasa, now on match point of the series.
Yeah, it just felt like to me in that final fight, the Kitsune Rush was popped a little too early, Mott. Like, it allowed the ability for DYS to play patient and kind of wait it out and then go for their touch. And then they just kept getting trades. And when you're in that situation and you don't get anything with the Terror Surge, it allowed the rest of the team to be able to win that and build up to some of their ult of their own. So it felt like the placement of the Kitsune Rush being too early was a big reason why DYS was able to end up winning that.
I had to agree with you wholeheartedly. Even when I was, commenting over the Kitsune Rush, I was a little bit surprised that it had been used so early, and it wasn't even overtime yet. Mind you, 5% away from overtime, but either way, it matters, especially in those high energy, high momentum moments like that on Saravasa, like Palace of all places. One of my favorite submaps also on Saravasa alongside Ruins. But going toe-to-toe all 5 rounds, 99% finishers on the 5th and final round was, again, nothing to scoff at for Mánagarmr. This is a absolutely fantastic team here, and they are just improving the longer this series goes. But now that Tracer's is back online and Ronan, again, having some success with the Cassidy, I'm glad to see exactly where we go next, how we're going to see the Tracers come back into fruition, because I know they're going to come back, and how can Mánagarmr, reverse it?
Yeah, the improvements have definitely been seen. We also know there's no longer a Zarya ban on the table, so we can always go back to that well if needed. Well, folks, despite the scoreline being 2-0, some of these maps have been very, very close. We're going to go to a quick break and allow Mánagarmr to, refresh themselves, get themselves ready, and make the necessary adjustments to hopefully start the reverse sweep. We'll be right back.
inside here, you know, you get an insight and you know something, you know, but you don't want to say it out loud because you're kind of afraid that it's not going to be really true and it'll spoil the whole thing for you, you know.
Ooh, we're back, and it has been an absolute treat from our two teams here in the EU Grandmaster tier of CGL Season 16. We're going to transition over to us real quick. You're going to see a 2-0. Like, oh my, that can't be that entertaining. No, if you were not here for the past 20, 40, 30, I don't know how many minutes, it has been so close between Nepal into a round 5 Suravasa. Our teams are ready for their map 3 possible final map here, by the way. First of 3, of course. 4 budget approved, looking fantastic on match point. But can they continue the success rate into Colosseo?
Yeah, I think Colosseo is going to be a fantastic map choice, especially given, you know, we saw a little peek of it on map number 1 with the Zarya, and it looked pretty good on the first sub-map where they played it. This is a great map for Zarya, and we know that the Zarya ban has already been thrown into the ring, so we know that can't happen anymore. And the other thing that I'd be looking to do is I'd be looking to ban ball, because I actually think this is a pretty halfway decent ball map as well. So I would be like, yo, we're playing our Zarya, and we're getting rid of their Wrecking Ball.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I will say, Imperator's Orisa having been forced to swap over to the character to mirror what Budget Proof were running, it was fantastic. It brought them over to the round 5 for Mánagarmr, right? And if there's an opportunity to ban ball and still play either Zar or Orisa, that I think would be the creme de la creme for Mánagarmr. That would be their win condition all around.
I was gonna say, like, even if they want to play the Orisa, right? Again, if you're DYS, Zarya is fantastic into the Orisa. That's like the hero in comp when you're like, this Orisa's running me down. I'm going Zarya.
And you know what I see here, Ray? I see a ball ban. I'm glad they use it now. Better now than never, right? So ball out of the equation. Might see the Orisa mirror come back. Or, like you said, Zarya, great at kind of putting Orisa in a bad spot more often than not. What are you going to do? Oh, you're spinning? Don't care. Oh, you're spearing me? Don't care. Oh, you're Terra Surging me? Oh, I don't care.
Yeah,
that's what I love about
walk
them.
out of Terra Surge.
No, literally.
And if you use it on me, you're just going to give me more charge to beam you down? Like, no, sorry.
It's the best. It's literally my favorite. Those two are my favorite kind of like dichotomy between each other. Because Orisa can also kind of ignore Zar's grab by just kind of fortifying out of it, things like that. But otherwise, other bet comes through very early on. That will be the Cassidy, which I would say from not just Budget Proof, but also from Mánagarmr, had great value from both of the Cassidys. Great Deadeyes, great shutdowns. I mean, really solid plays, especially the Hindernade. I would say a really big thing, which I also think might be also a slight protection against Tracer, right? Tracer, Hindernade, not really her best friend. So take him out of the fight, call it a day. Head-to-head, so you already know who they are. No swaps, no nothing. All 10 players from beginning to end.
I will agree. One thing, though, you do have to keep in mind coming into this next map is going into map 2, because of the Tracer ban, they had Bronin go over to the Sojourn / Cassidy, and then they had Witty Weave go over to the Genji. Now this map, especially with the cast ban, they can just go back to what they were doing. Bronin on the Tracer, Witty Weave on the Sojourn, and that was absolutely dominant on Nepal. So that's definitely one thread we have to keep in mind.
Oh, 100%. I expect no less than a very similar composition coming in from map 1 into map 3. Excuse me. So, with that being said, 20 seconds until the objective unlocks, and we actually see what we're going to be running in these spawn rooms. I do kind of believe Reno might just go over to Orisa. Again, no ball, so yeah, you might as well go to what worked extremely well in Suravasa. So, very, very tight-knit plays, though, that need to be made, because the longer these matches go on, I feel like the better Mánagarmr is playing, the better they're able to find adaptations and things like that. Queen! Oh, don't tease me. Oh, don't tease me with a queen. I love me a good queen on Colosseo.
Yeah, it's what me and my team like to run on Colosseo, our queen comps. But I was going to say, into the Zarya, it's a tough matchup into Zarya, though. Like, because the thing is, all your cooldowns, basically you have to try and force out bubbles before you use, like, your Carnage. So that's always tough. But looks like they're going to be going into Diva, which, I mean, all things considered, that's a much more favorable matchup instead of a Zarya.
Yeah, 100%, 1000%. In fact, I do like the Imperator's Diva. I think last map it got a little bit, like, a little too sought out, but I think here might be a little more mainstay, might be standing a bit longer in the fights here. So that being said, we are now on the objective itself, now going to the coastline, kind of scouting these two sight lines, and looks like Mánagarmr are favoring playing this pillar, playing this coastline a tiny bit more, but no deaths quite yet. A little bit of pressure onto Lucio though, so Octo and Lampy need to be a little bit careful with how they actually walk around and wide wall and ride the walls here. Either way, Budgetproof walking in easily. The aggression is with them, and they also have the pick onto MCG early on. Now they're taking up the opposing high ground, and this is a fantastic start for Budgetproof.
Yeah, so that's the thing with the Junker Queen composition, is you have to constantly be moving, walking forward, looking for targets, because you don't have the most sustain in the world, so you have to look to find kills fast, especially when you're going against a Diva who can, I mean, now it's an Orisa, so even more survivability. So you got to keep moving, you got to move fast, and in this situation, you have to ignore Imperator. You have to go after everyone else. The Orisa has too much pull.
You're right. That's always been her thing. Is just she's a stalwart wall in a lot of these fights. So you can see everyone kind of backing out. That's the objective. We lose each other for a second there. Ronan barely. Oh my god, is escaping the skin of his teeth. Either way,
Literally
though,
on 1 HP.
Shout expended early from Reno, though. Bot is actually moving past, or almost to, the checkpoint. Recall force out from Ronan early on, and again, no kills quite yet, but it does go down to the Soldier and the Junker Queen right after I said something. Thanks, guys. I look crazy on the podcast now.
and they're able to get the stop before the forward spawns come in, which is absolutely huge on these push maps. So you'll get the long spawns. However, they are coming back with a rampage, and that ult can be game changing. The only thing they have to make sure that they're aware is they have to force out that cleanse from MCG, or you just get it onto so many people and they're spread out to where, you know, you can't cleanse everyone. One of those two.
Ideally in this brawl, though, you're pretty close to it besides your Soja, maybe your Genji. So oh, that was a Suzu Ooze early. I saw that, but not gonna walk on it quite yet. Kiriko Rush does get used, and Ray, they don't even bother to rip the rampage. But you know what? 19 meters to 61. I don't hate it. I like the discipline.
So I think overall that was the smart play, was to hold the ults. But at the same time, what did I say this composition needs to do? Keep moving, go on targets. They weren't doing any of that in that last fight, and that's why they lost it.
MCG getting a little bit too big for their britches, gets onto the bridge, and I mean, the rail shot is very much felt. I mean, I felt it from over here. I'm not even in the game right now. Weedy Weeb popping off as always on the Soldier, and always finding the opening kills, and also the last couple of bits as well. Budgetproof pretty much won that fight off of one simple misposition from the opposing Kiriko.
Yeah, so that's like, you know, adding more money to your bank at that point, because you're like, okay, well, we lost the fight pretty handily, didn't use any ults, but we came back and won the fight again without having to use any of our ults. So now you put in a position with, especially with MCG down, to get these forward spawns.
Another early death against the Kiriko. Now trading it off. Good deflect kill onto Ravage. Reno, literally a sliver of HP left. Sound barrier used by Octo. And now we're finally walking on the opposition. Could have been really bad for Mánagarmr if they hadn't gotten the Kiriko trade-off. So thankfully, they bring it back with the sound barrier. Otherwise, they got 4 ultimates to walk into next fight.
Yeah, but they're totally okay with that, because they traded all that to get the forward spawn. So now they're going to be able to take the fight in the mid-range here. I think that was a predetermined plan for DYS. Even if we lose here, just make sure we get the forward spawns.
Oh, they're so split apart. They're not wanting to deal with this rampage. They're not even gonna have Ronan in the fight either. Imperator super low. Force use the fortify and the javelin spin. Now Suzu also used early on. Terror Surge will pull in Reno momentarily, and can we get the kill onto the Queen here? Not quite gonna find it either way. Everyone else around Imperator is slowly starting to falter, but we walk in with the overclock and the rampage and the TP in from MCG just to save Ozzy's soul while they were antied, and the bleeding is ideally going to make this fight a lot more even, but we would be out of the engagement. There is the fight win here for Mánagarmr. Was a little bit messy, but they brought it back.
That was a huge fight win for Mánagarmr, all things considered. Pause will be coming in for DYS. They're in a situation where they will have beat advantage for the next fight, so they have that going for them. But I think all things considered, given the amount of ults we were walking into in that previous fight, I think getting out of there without them getting any positive meterage at all in their favor was a big win for Mánagarmr.
Oh, 100%. I mean, I was getting worried because the Rampage basically got procced. I didn't know if MCG was back in time yet, but thankfully you saw the Swift Step because of Suzu right onto Ozzy. Also, I was getting worried because Weave had also used his own overclock earlier in the fight and was getting some heads, getting some peppering a lot of damage, especially onto Imperador, which I think during that whole fight, I think Bro was at like 100 HP the whole time, having used Fortify, having used Javelin Spin. Everything was off the clock. Like, they did not have any cooldowns, and somehow, some way, he survived. Terror Surge also refreshing that armor is also a really nice little touch. So I think there is a reason why we had to use all of the tools in our kit, and very least we hold on to the Dragon Blade from Chodoro. So this will be really good. You mentioned the sound barrier as well. I think from Lampy will be pretty impactful to at least mitigate the upcoming pressure that is going to be coming in from Chodoro. But otherwise, I think Mánagarmr are looking very good, and we're only 5 minutes in. You know, they have another whole 5 minutes left to overtake the checkpoint.
Yeah, it looks like, just letting you guys know, we do see some connection problems going on for the tank for DYS budget approved, so that's what the pause is all about. So hopefully they can get that settled and figured out. But again, I think Mánagarmr had themselves in a pretty good spot. The only thing is, despite, them getting DYS to blow a lot of ults in their previous fight, they also used a decent amount as well, so they only have a blade, and that can be countered pretty hard by the beat. So it's really going to just come down to how long this next fight lasts, because if it lasts for a while long, they will get a beat of their own online. But it all can just be turned around because Bronin's going to have a pulse bomb as well.
Yeah, and Ronan, he's been really consistent with his pulse bombs, right? He's been finding at least somebody every single time with a pulse bomb, or even just like putting pressure on a certain area. You guys can't walk over there, you can't go over there anymore. Or even forcing down cooldowns like Suzu, for example, big one that will give so much value for budget approved. But Reno, off of the Queen, not getting the value that he was looking for, now goes over to the Orisa, mirroring what we had seen previously on Saravasa specifically. Octo 30% away from our own beat. So with that being said, objective has now gone to the tail end of the barricade and given back to budget approved.
Yeah, and they're going to rotate out and around. They do give up cart control, but I think taking the better positioning is always going to be better, especially if they can win this fight. It will almost guarantee they can get these forward spawns.
Ideally, yeah. Here comes the back. Here comes the flank coming in from Ronin. Photon finds absolutely nothing but the floor space. Imperador again going lower than 100 HP, barely able to stabilize back over to at least have some armor online in that health pool. Now we're waiting for the perfect opportunity to use this blade, and the Suzu is a good call out. TP also gets used, sound barrier also gets used, so basically no more evasive cooldowns online anymore for budget approved, and Mánagarmr knew that, and they're gonna walk with it. Gets not one, not two, but three out of the way. Can we get Chodoro in the meantime? We do! So Weave does get his one before inevitably Ozzy walks up to the high ground and gets the rail shot. Yeah,
but this will basically unlock the forward spawns for Mánagarmr, and it puts it in a position where we're in a tied game, and they could take the lead here. The question is, do they look to touch? It doesn't look like it, so oh no, it will, so they will have the tracer they won't actually, so they will give up the lead, and Bronin goes down. This disastrous for budget approved. It
sure is. I mean, the spear into the subsequent elimination from Octo was pretty much picture perfect for Mánagarmr to continue to walk up this high ground over in the corner. Now they're respecting. You see how quick they respect the overclock? Yeah, they're backing out, trying to find this Sojourn and shut it down. Ravage looking very much worse for Rare. We do trade off Surgeons, and we see Terror Surgeons pulls in Lampy, and unfortunately everyone else from Budget Crew will be going back over to spawn room, and we're gonna get a good about 100 meters or more here before inevitably I think they're gonna have to regroup and back off for a little bit.
And they are down too, so they have to be a little bit careful and patient about how they play this. They can't afford to push up too far. Yeah, exactly. They're going to get out of dodge immediately.
Oh, they have to, yeah. Thankfully,
yeah,
you know.
Yeah, so then if you're Mánagarmr now, you can look to go play the mid ground again, and you're going to have a considering rush to be able to throw down. So I think this is going to be the smart play overall, but they're going to re-engage even before that.
Oh, I was waiting to see that Suzu was going to connect onto Widowy before I say anything, and unfortunately it doesn't. Hair too late. Zero following up very early on, and now suddenly only 2.5 minutes left in the engagement, and Mánagarmr are looking completely different than we had seen them, even just from map 1 and map 3. They have improved tremendously in such a short amount of time.
I agree. I think they're getting to the point where it's going to be extremely difficult for DYS to be able to come back into it. They get themselves another like 15, 20 meters, and I don't know, man, because you're going to have to be winning like 3-4 fights in a row if you're DYS.
Bridge is the next engagement tool. Oh, the pulse bomb opens up the fight, though. There goes Ozzy, there goes Chodoro. So both DPS are now out of the engagement. Octo trying to roll right away to live here. And the losing 1v1, very much appreciated, but I think at some point Lampy needs to back up, because guess what?
They don't focus on the point, they lose too!
We're still losing people, right? Like, we're losing people, and we got an extra 8 meters on top of that. This is worst case scenario for budget approved in the last minute and 45 seconds.
What did they do? It's like they got so hyper-focused on pushing up and getting the stagger onto the Lucio that they didn't pay attention to Imperator on the point, who was able to kill 2.
2 backliners as well. It was big, and now here comes the Dragon Blade from Chodoro. Oh, this could be one of the biggest things we've seen from Budget Proof, which we had previously, you know, kind of talked about. They're really good at.
I'm calling it. It's over. I don't think they come back from this. That was horribly bad. And EMC have 4 ults to work with.
Here's a considered rush from Ravage. It's something on the field here, and I think it's blocked off, and the barricade is not even there anymore. Terrorsaurus gets used from that one, but 2 of these Orissas, and the other one does find more value. Imperator gets rid of Ronin in the engagement. Bot is completely stalled in the beginning of this bridge. The overclock comes in from Ozzy onto Winnie Weeb. We finally lose out on Imperator a minute after initially pushing this objective an egregious amount here on Colosseo. Finally, Budget Proof get the win, but at what cost?
Yeah, I mean, you still held on to your Kitsune Rush if you're EMC, so you're still going to have that tool to work with. A lot of your players, and probably all of them, honestly, are going to get the forward spawn, so you're still taking a fight in the middle ground here. The only thing you got going for you is you're going to have 3 ultimates if you're DYS, but you have so many fights in a row you have to win. It's not like you can just throw in all your ults this next fight.
And what sucks is that they can't even walk forward. They can't even, like, take over space again. 10 seconds left. Bot is now stalled completely near the middle of Colosseo, barely inching back and forth. 3, 2, 1. We need to use some ultimates. Might be the overclock, might be the pulse bomb, might be something. Here's a Kitsune Rush from MCG first. Now forcing this Orisa into a corner, forcing the sound barrier from Lampy as well. Can we keep up the team though? We lose out on Ravage, but when do we get a 2-piece with the price of 1 rail shot, and there's the overclock onto Octo. Ray, if they want a chance at the 3-0 victory, they need to play pretty perfect with just Terra Surge.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to have to win at least 2 fights, probably 3. And they're going to be facing a Blade from Chodoro with no defensive utility at all. They have to hope. Not only do they get like a perfect Suzu, or they somehow get a big Javelin onto them and just completely nullify that ultimate.
You can also use Terror Surge, right? But you're 3% away from it, and that's kind of the kicker. You're still waiting. Okay, it's online now, thankfully. Oh my goodness. Either way, you're right. Blade could be the end-all, be-all for Chodoro. Has been so impactful in the past couple of matches, past couple of maps, fights, all that jazz. Terror Surge gets used early, though. And the pressure's on. MCG's out of the fight. Chodoro goes in for the Blade, gets moved away from the fight. So therefore, no slicing and dicing for you today. The bridge is becoming the home of DYS budget approved, as they have somehow, some way mitigated the pressure of that Blade, and they have re-engaged with a Kitsune Rush in the back pocket.
When you forget a Lucio boop is also existent to be able to CC, because that was perfect from Lampy to completely overhaul that ult. That was ridiculous. And now they have the Kitsune Rush advantage. No, I mean, you'll probably get a sound barrier. It's going to depend. Can they get it on time quick enough? Looks like they will.
It has to be good here. The Kitsune Rush down the nice field here, and the sound barrier are coming in from Octo. This is a matter of just support differential. Ravage down for the count. You might be right here. We've seen things completely turn around for the worse, but once Reno, unfortunately, going down for the count, you have no frontline pressure, you have no damage mitigator. That's going to be the bot taken back in the favor of Mánagarmr, and we have solidified a point on the board here for Mánagarmr. They are not out for the count yet.
Yeah, as soon as I saw that Kirika go, I'm like, unless they get like 3 picks immediately after going down, there's no way. Especially with how close the spawns are going to be, you probably get, you know, possible straggler touches coming in. Mánagarmr played that extremely well. I mean, hats off to DYS for almost bringing that back. But to me, they finally got their stuff together a little too late if you're DYS.
I mean, again, I think the turning point was really just hyper-focusing onto Octo in that one chase scene between Reno and Lampy. And again, forgetting about Parador, who is Orisa, and who will brawl it out with 2 supports and win 9 times out of 10. And that extra little 8 meters that Parador was able to kind of garner for Mánagarmr almost was the kicker, was the fight win, was the map win advantage for Mánagarmr here on Colosseo. But Budget Proof still on match point either way. This is just one loss in the book of victories. They need to find out where can we go for our next map and mode, of course. And also, what band should we fight or should we look towards this time?
I will say, because they got, now that they got the first map of the reverse sweep going, definitely feeling better about yourselves, feeling a little bit more confident. But the issue is with the reverse sweeps going forward, it makes things that much more harder because all the maps and bans are going to be in the favor of budget approved from here on out. So first map is the first step, but it's also the easiest step to start going. And I was looking at their map difference, and they're 0-5, and they have 5 map wins. I don't know if they took just 1 map off every team, but it seems like generally speaking, they tend to at least get 1 map off teams.
They get their one. They get their ones every single time, and you can't take that away from them. It does look like we are starting to get into our next map. We're starting to get into the nitty-gritty of this next phase. And I think you mentioned that, you know, the fact that DFS Budget Group basically have the map advantages every single time because they are the ones on match point. That is a pretty big thing to think about if you're a Mánagarmr, which makes your ban all the more important. Especially going over to my hometown. We have Midtown coming up on deck here for map number 4. Personally, one of my favorite maps because I have a, not to toot my own horn, a little 95% win rate in comp on Midtown. So I love me a good Midtown.
I'm going to say, I'm like, because I've been noticing how sunny it looks outside your window. I'm like, man, it's a sunny day in New York for October, huh?
Sure, yo, but it's cold. Don't get it twisted. It's cold outside, though. That's why I got the hoodie on. It's too cold.
So you got that bright sun out, but it's still cold. That's like the worst kind. It's like,
the
man, it looks so nice outside. You walk out, you're like, oh, whoa, whoa.
Oh,
let me
gotta wear a
put on
little
the jeans
sweater.
and the
The jeans, the jean jacket, if you will. Like, oh, and the
Sweater
Tims. It's the Tims and the big black puffer jacket for me. North Face till I die, as always. Yeah, it's
oh, I'm
cold
sorry.
outside.
I didn't mean jean jacket. I said jeans and a jacket.
Oh, my bad. No, we troll a little too much. I'm sorry. You're right. Jeans and a jacket. No, you're right. Like it is getting a little cold out there. But I will say when it's like kind of windy out, but the sun's still out, it's kind of nice when you walk into the sun and you're not like sweating the entire time. It's a little breeze, a little something to mitigate that. But Midtown I think is so interesting, right? I don't think this is necessarily a ball fever map either. Even though I'm pretty sure Budget Approved might try to force it either way. And they already burned their Zarya ban, and I think Zarya and Brawl in general can do really well on Midtown more often than not. I think Orisa, of course, would be kind of like the mainstay best Brawl tank to play on Midtown, but I've seen success with Ram, with Zar, so much different compositions that can play around that, especially that first point of hybrid. So Budget Proof, I mean, they had the work cut out for them. Win the map, win the series, call it a day.
I wonder if I was literally about to ask, I wonder if they're feeling Chodoro on that Genji and if they're going to ban it, because like, he's had some very, very pop-off moments on the Genji. And it's not like they've been really playing it for DYS. They played it like on Saravasa, but they haven't played it since they got the transfer back. So I think that's actually a very smart ban on their part. The question is, what direction do you go in if you're EMC? It seems like you're doing fine in the Zarya mirror, at least. You know what I mean? You lost Saravasa that ended up being a Zarya mirror, and then you won on Colosseo. Excuse me. So I don't feel like you have to necessarily target a tank. I feel like I mean, we've seen that DYS does like to bring out the Wu Yang, so maybe you look to ban that and just make this a Kiri Lucio mirror.
Yes! Ban Wu Yang. No! They banned Kiriko! Oh my god, the wrong one! No, I'm kidding. Kiriko ban's always very valid, unfortunately, as much as I love her as a character. This does kind of force some very interesting backlines because, as you mentioned, we've been seeing Kiriko Wu Yang or Kiriko Lucio pretty much most of this series. So with Kiriko out of the fray, it does make me think, what can we kind of use to supplement that backline? That's because Wu Yang might still be a mainstay, especially if Lampy is still in the fight. Of course, here's the head-to-heads. No swaps once again, sticking it all throughout these four maps, so far, with the same 10 players, 5 per team. Ravage, however, has a Yari favorite, so maybe we see a Wu Yang Yari, and Yari does do pretty well on first point Midtown. Even I think actually not even just for first point, all three. I think she has so much value with Pylon and with her damage output as a support. I think this can be really good for the budget approved actually.
Look, so me and my team, we're a bunch of plat snubs, you know, plubs, like, but we love Lucio and Wu Yang together. Not on this map specifically, but we think the combination of the two works really well. We do see, interesting on the defense, Bap and Brig. That was not on my bingo card. Bap is definitely not the support you think to pair with Brig at all. It's normally like Ana or sometimes Juno or maybe even a Kiri every now and then. I mean, the Bap and the Brig will be a lot of healing, and you have the ability with those immortality heals to keep Imperator up for even longer. But I'm liking the ability, if you're DYS on this attack, having the Lucio. And I think the BAP will still work fine because the BAP can do all the healing and still have the immortality field. You still get the utility of that speed boost.
Yeah, the BAP and the Brig was starting to become somewhat, I don't want to say popular, it's too strong of a word, but a little bit more played kind of in the latter half of last season. Not more so than Wu Yang, of course, but there is some times where I would see like, there's something here, but it's not very popular whatsoever. Nothing like BAP Lucio from Budget Pro, which I do love. You have a speed advantage over Mánagarmr. You can already see they're already in the firehouse here, walking easily, almost onto the objective, but the scary part is you might be surrounded in all these corners. Mind you, maybe not. Mánagarmr are respecting the space, actually backing up into the main area of Midtown so far, trying to find some angles onto Ronin, onto Witty Weave, forces the slide away from Ozzy, who does kind of hit a wall here. Backline is getting pressured out by the Tracer, and I wouldn't be surprised if Chodoro does find the first pick here, especially onto Ravage, before losing out on the rest of the team here. I was so focused on that fight that I actually didn't even realize everyone's dead.
I was gonna say, basically the damage has already been done. Everyone else is dead. You know, yeah, you get the bat, but fight's over. Point captured for DYS, and you know, with very little, like very little pushback. They just came and used that speed boost, got where they wanted to go, and there was nothing that EMC was really able to do about it. And they get the exiting pick on a Chodoro.
Oh, they sure do. And you can see Mánagarmr are going for the default positioning onto this bridge, right? Love it. It's classic. Good on you, right? MCG does get spirited away forced to use the shift early onto the team here. But either way, Budget Proof, like you said, very fast, but kind of just walking forward. And more so, it comes down to a poke battle. High ground does get taken over by Mánagarmr. Ozzy almost gets Witty Weave, but not going to find the value either way.
Yeah, the question is going to be for DYS is, can they take this high ground advantage where they have the speed and the mobility to be able to get up there and do it? They just got to start working on that, but that window is going to start supporting stuff.
Oh, the window does, but then MCG's cooldowns, all of which get completely run down by Imperator, who does kind of walk in, does not care about Limb, does not care about that window, just uses Terror Surge, and everyone has now running back down to that spawn area, giving it basically more than half of the objective B over to Budget Approved with a really healthy 4-minute time bank.
And that was a 1-for-1 ult trade, so DYS, you know, you're gonna take that. Now as you pop around this final corner, you can pop window, which this could be a hard final corner to take, but if you have the pressure of a window and force them to back up, you might be able to get this point.
Oh, we're so gonna see it here. Actually gonna be coupled with the overclock as well, so the damage output from Witty Weave is gonna be absolutely absurd. The window, the lamp mitigates the pulse bomb reversal from actually both of the Tracers, and it's actually gonna be a little bit of a back and forth, but either way, the point has been unlocked in the middle of that fight, so Budget Proof reinstate a 5-minute time bank in their favor.
I'm sorry, I'm a big like sports outside esports. Like I watch a lot of football, a lot of basketball.
Yeah,
so one of my favorite things is like when a Sojourn is sliding backwards and hits the rail. It feels like a basketball, like fade away, like totally got it, and through the window as well. Like that was insane by Witty Weave, and they still have a sound barrier to work with to deal with this incoming overclock from Ozzy. So I think they're in a pretty good spot to continue getting some good distance.
Oh, I mean, absolutely. Especially if you're continuously getting these one-off trades, these one-off picks. Chodoro, first one to go down, sliding away is Ozzy. Ronin tries to get a reversal, same thing as their brethren, but not going to find it. Gets a real shot to the face instead. And finally, some least on life from Mánagarmr. One Terra Surge gets rid of one Lucio, one headshot to the Baptiste gets rid of Ravage, and you know Reno is trying to slide away, gallop away, if you will, but maybe able to get staggered out here a tiny bit.
And now we got the Torbjorn on the table, which is
Joe.
going to be just a little bit more troublesome for someone like Bronin, who's been trying to go on flanks and find different routes, so the turret can be very annoying and basically tell people, hey, Tracer's over there. But we are going to have Widdyweave going over to the cast now, which is just going to be a lot more consistent output of damage, but you don't have like the one-shot potential from the rails.
Which again, Widdyweave has been so good at placing and getting so much value with those aforementioned rails. And speaking of railgun, why not just have it all the time? Overclock opening up the fight here from Ozzy, but I mean they're kind of being ping-ponged around the place and gets nothing besides another number in the death stats. The Totoro does get at least one onto Widdyweave, but the rest of the team of Budget Proof will be finding their ones either way all day. Lampy barely surviving, thankfully peeled back by the Baptiste, and now the cart is turning over, and this can be really rough for Mánagarmr.
And they should get their full team back for this next fight as well, as the window's now going to get popped, but they're already sitting in front of the window, and it gives them time to just put themselves in a great position like they are, but they just push forward and get the value from the window anyway.
Oh, Ravage, I think, kind of just felt pressure to use their own window here, so it's not really gonna get anything started for Mánagarmr, for Budget Approved. Speaking of Mánagarmr, pushing them all the way back, thankfully, and Torbjorn 85% to that magma core, that molten core, should be a good one.
Yeah, especially when, you know, it's not a super mobile comp you're playing where you're trying to stand your ground and stay still, so being able to have that molten core can actually go pretty disgusting here.
Still, Cart is still looking down that nice long sight line. Budget Proof could absolutely use this, but now without Ronin, oh, definitely not gonna work. High Noon used by Widdyweave. We're walking in. Soundbarrier does get forced out by the opposition, and we're rolling away from this Orisa, but it's almost fruitless as Imperator has his eyes set on Widdyweave and finds the kill either way.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, you blink and you look up, and already 2 minutes have been drained off the clock. 2 minutes left for Budget Proof to try and get this. Bronin's going to go over to the Ash now, so this has definitely turned itself into a full-on poke kind of situation here, which I'm surprised that they're going to keep the Lucio, you know, given you might want a little bit more utility outside of just a speed boost when you're playing poke, because poke wants to keep its distance.
Low-key Zem will go crazy here, no? Like, I would love to see Low Zem, Baptiste, Orisa with an Ash, with the Deadlock Gang, specifically with the Ash and the Cassidy. Either way, though, pressure is on Imperator, who is so low, forced to use a Fortify, and now the Terror Surge just to reinstate some of that armor, both of which can be expended here, and a Molten Core just for that area of effect. But either way, it is the window, as always, from Ravage that does help find the win. You need to be weary about the Molten Core, though, because it is all over the floor, and we're almost going to be walking right through it. 3 people left. They're going to get full cap here. Oh, no, I lied. Maybe... Oh, no, absolutely not.
I know, they do.
Absolutely
they
not.
do.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, my gosh. I thought they were going to be a touch.
I will say, though, the time at which they finished is actually pretty big. Less than over a minute on the clock. So, because of that, all Mánagarmr has to do is make sure they finish at all. Like, they just have to finish this. Doesn't matter how much time on the clock, they will get another opportunity at this, which is crazy because I've never seen it that close where it's like, man, all they needed was 2 more seconds and they would have been in that position if you're DYS.
I know, that's how tight these games have been. You know, we've been sitting here watching how close everything has gotten. Nepal started off a bit shaky for Mánagarmr, but they are bringing it back slowly but surely with really good adjustments, really good swaps needed to kind of take on the Titan that has been budget approved as of late, right? So with that being said, it looks like we are going to be sticking to the Lucio from both Lampy and Octo. Todoro looking like we are really liking the Torbjorn, at least in the spawn room, so that could come to fruition or could get changed out to mirror Ronin's Tracer. Either way, I like Ozzy and would be back on Sojourn. They're both very talented players at the character.
Here we go. It all comes down to this attack for Mánagarmr to keep their hopes alive. This won't ensure they get the map win, but it makes sure they give themselves a chance to force a map number 5. They got to complete all 3 points. Here we go. And they will play the Lucio on the attack.
So speed versus speed, name of the game. Mánagarmr struggling against Budget Approved's own speed boost potential, but now they can mirror it, they feel a little better. Rotation around the coast, not, well, quote-unquote coast, the alleyway, does come through for Budget Approved. From Mánagarmr. I love it. I like the idea. It's the same thing that Budget Approved did go for, but they're a lot more willing to match them in the Firehouse. I do like giving Witty Weave so much value on the soldier and getting 2k off of that. And look at this, the rotation completely stuffed out from Budget Approved. Mánagarmr did not have the opportunity to even try to brawl in the Firehouse. What a response from Budget Approved.
I agree. I mean, again, to me, Budget Approved has always been good about knowing when to push their tempo and knowing when to be patient and wait for their opportunities. And I think that fight was a perfect example of this. And now, because of how that fight went for them, they're going to have a Terra Surge and possibly an Overclock coming soon. Now they're going to go to path through the train. I don't think that's, yeah, exactly. That Dynamite goes so heavy pathing through areas like that.
Yeah, I think you and I both understand why a lot of people do not like fighting on the subway. There's a reason why it's called, it has a certain nickname that I can't quite say on Twitch, but it is a very, very explosive way to start a fight. And Budget Approved, I mean, they're just gonna walk on it with all the ease in the world with a Terra Surge. Losing 2, but still really good fight here, really good shutdown of, again, a very unpopular rotation, and again, for good reason. I think you can kind of see why.
Yeah, and Octo is able to get out in the end so it doesn't feed any extra ult charge. And it doesn't, you know, they save the time of having to reset. Still a window available, so they can look to get pretty aggressive, pop a window here and force positioning from Budget Approved. That's what I'd be looking to do. Oh, but MCG goes down, but the window is up.
The window is up from at least both of sides, but one getting a little more value. Ravage, I mean, really, really stabilizing on the point. My Orisa is so low. Reno, no armor. Not even a fortify either. Has to back up to the Mega Pack in the corner of the room. Does get reinstated from full health to battle it out against Imperador. And now we're nearing under a minute 45. We're looking really good for Budget Approved to hold this point even further.
Hello.
Double DPS ultimates, you know, the sound barrier can only do so much. Chodoro's, you know, as we saw, is now on the Venture, which, I mean, I think it's going to be cool for going after some of these hit scans like the Ash and, you know, trying to put pressure onto Witty Weeb on the Sojourn. But again, it's very cooldown reliant, so it's like you can really wait things out.
Ooh, love me an early Bob here. Ooh, I love an early Bob. Not just for touch, but just to put some extra damage pressure on the rotation. Imperador kind of forced into the back area, into the no man's land of the opponents. Either way, one tick does go in favor of Mánagarmr, but with just odds, I believe, there, and one support, that being, of course, Octo. I mean, at some point, Reno is just going to run it down every day of the week. 45 seconds left. One swap has been made from Imperador over to Diva. MCG following through with the Ana.
And again, really smart to go after Imperator, be willing to give up that tick, but to make sure the Orisa goes down, and then, you know, Sojourn and Lucia is not going to be able to do anything with against an Orisa Lucia. Like that was all she wrote there. And Lampy was still able to bank the sound barrier, so they're going to have that 24. This is really last fight.
Oh my gosh, the Terra Church as always is just so fat from Reno. 1, 2, 3. Totoro finds a little sneaky drill bash into Lampy, but it's just not going to be enough. 13 seconds left. Just Totoro, and that's going to be the elimination coming through. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 3, 2, 1. That's going to be the end of the match, surely. There's just no way. There's just no way. The Diva can try, but everyone is in your way. Even the objective itself is just too far for Imperador to touch. But you Approved get the win 3-1. And that was a fantastic showing of a Midtown defense.
Yeah, I think all things considered, though, if you are Mánagarmr, you got to map off them. A lot of these maps, I mean, let's take this map out of it for a second. The other 3 maps were very close. They could have gone either way, especially Surabasa. So this could have been map 5, and, you know, obviously you're still winless. But I think we're definitely seeing improvements. And given, as we mentioned, this is a 4-team 4-team division, you're going to make playoffs, so just making sure your team continually improve and is ready for playoffs is what's going to really matter.
Yep, only 2 weeks away, as we mentioned at the very beginning of the stream, so very small division. Everyone's basically guaranteed playoff. It just kind of comes down to seeding, and I believe who the top teams want to fight into anyway. So you might have a 3rd run-in with Budget Approved, and they have some really good VODs to review, especially I think Midtown and Surabasa, I think, are some of the highlights that Mánagarmr can absolutely look to for improvement's sake. Otherwise, Budget Approved really playing this as best they possibly could. Some mistakes here and there, the most nefarious one, of course, being on Coliseo, but they found the win at the end of the day and a full hold on Midtown. Not something that isn't exactly the easiest thing to do ever. So, really well done from Budget Approved.
Yeah, and again, for Budget Approved, you know, when you're playing the winless team, I think it's all about just, you know, individually or as a team, finding comps and different things that you can improve on and maybe find out to, you know, when you go up against, because you're in second right now for their division, because Bliss Excelsior is undefeated right now. They've only lost 4 maps on the season, so being able to make sure you're in a good position and looking good to take on Bliss Excelsior.
And as you see, the reminder of the maps you did go to, starting off on the humble Nepal, and then a 5-round banger on Servasa, into a Coliseo dub, into a Midtown hold. Yeah, this was a very explosive series. Hour and a half of some humble Overwatch gameplay. Love to see it. And a quick reminder of the bans that brought us to this win for Budget Approved. They have some pretty impactful ones. I think really targeting that tank there, the Diva on the first map, might have kind of been the starting point of victory. Zarya into Cassidy, into the Genji, which I think you mentioned I feel like had a lot of value for Budget Approved to ban that out away from Mánagarmr, and I think it might have showed a little bit with that DPS line, you know, going over Tracer, not having to go over the Torbjorn. Yeah, it was just really good stuff all around.
Congratulations to DYS. They go up to 5-1 on the season. We are going to take a quick break as we prep for an interview, it sounded like. So bear with us, folks. We'll be right back with an interview from the winning team, DYS.
And as promised, we have our interview candidates. One of the winners from Budget Approved, the tank extraordinaire, the Orisa pop offer, the terror of the surges. We have Reno coming up on deck here for an interview with us. Reno, how are you feeling? 3-1 victory toe-to-toe. It went round to round. You get the win. What's it looking like?
We're feeling pretty good. I think, all things considered, yeah, we had a few slip-ups here and there, but I think we were happy with how we played. It was pretty good. Everyone's happy.
Yeah, I want to focus a little bit on the one slip up you guys did have. Coliseo, obviously. You guys did almost end up making that comeback. But what kind of happened there? It felt like the fight that really changed the tide in that was, you know, a lot of you guys got very aggressive and started going forward, trying to get the stagger onto the Lucio. But in the meantime, you guys just left the Orisa on point, who killed 2. And then you guys just seemed staggered after that. What happened there?
So yeah, we struggled on that map for, I'd say, 2 reasons. Firstly, we should not have banned the Cass, because their Genji Lucio were just kind of playing as a pair and just going for our backline. A Cass would have been a lot better than the Soj. And I was having internet problems. I was lagging most of the maps, so it was hard for me to play as well.
Yeah, that does make sense. There was the pause in the middle where, yeah, you did get disconnected. So yeah, that definitely makes a whole lot of sense. And then overall, you know, with the season so far, 5-1 on the season, you guys have been looking pretty strong. Bliss Excelsior, obviously, sitting at 6-0, haven't lost, only dropped 4 maps on the season. How do you guys feel about having to go against them eventually? I mean, they're the ones who stand in your way. Do you guys feel like you're going to be able to figure some things out and match up well against them?
Yeah, we're pretty confident, to be honest, because I think we are playing good now, but this is not the best we can play. Far from it, I'd say. So I think we're pretty confident.
Ooh, I love those words. Like, we can play a little better, and I feel like you guys really did show out today. Some mistakes here and there, but that is who we are. We are human. We make mistakes, and that's a-okay. You brought it back on Midtown, a hold of all things. And I have to say, what changed, you know, especially with the loss on Coliseo? What mental changes were made? What were the comms looking like to make sure you go into Midtown with a winning mental state? What was that looking like?
I think, well, between map 1 and 2, we were already feeling confident and we were fine. We didn't have any issues. And to be honest, we just chalked up map 3 as like a fluke, you know? It was a one-off. There was internet problems. We made a bad ban. It's fine. We'll just take the next one.
Love that. Love that. Love that. Easy way to bring it back from something as unfortunate as, of course, that map lost. But you guys are at match point. So you know what? I like that you guys put up to a fluke and called it a day and locked in and won, of course. I guess pretty much my last question for you is just going to be the standard shout-out question. You know, who we want to give a shout-out to on the broadcast?
I want to say firstly, shout out to all the producers and people who run things at CGL. You guys do a great job. And special shout out to Ray. We love you at Budget Approved. You're our favorite caster, bro. We love you.
I appreciate it.
All right. Pleasure, guys. Thanks.
No problem. Have a good one, and we'll see you for your next match against Bliss Excelsior. All the luck from the production decks, but no bias, of course. Good luck. Have a good day.
Thank you. Take care.
All right, Ray, with that being said, that's the last match we have, at least for EU. Don't forget, tune in later tonight, 8 o'clock EST, 2000 hours. We have Wawa Gaming up against the Diamond Eagles in another first to 3 series, and I'm sure it's going to be as jam-packed as ours was today. The scoreline for ours was 3-1. Mánagarmr, we're not going to take your win away, I promise. You got 3-1. It's okay. Wawa Gaming versus Diamond Eagles later tonight, though. Tune in for that on this channel, CGL1, with some new beautiful faces and producers and observers, all so talented at their jobs. That being said, though, Ray, any last words before we kind of shut it down for at least a couple of hours?
So I'm not one to get a big head after a compliment like that, but it will be ammunition for me to use against Spectreon, that EU team.
Yes!
So I will be DMing Spectreon after this, just to really, because that dude has a big ego. Time to be like, hey, your EU team named me their favorite caster.
Just saying, your people like me a little more. I'm just saying. No, I love Spec in all seriousness, but you know what? I like some ammunition against my favorite caster, one of my favorite casters to cast with. So you know what? Go ahead, Ray. I'm right there with you. But in the meantime, shout outs to our producers, shout outs to our observer holding down the fort and giving us some fantastic POV, some fantastic pop-off moments they were able to capture on the broadcast. Thank you so much for your efforts and so much for your time. Ray, as always, a pleasure to cast with you. And we'll see you guys later tonight for that 8 o'clock game. In the meantime, we're going to go and see you guys a little bit later.